Hello, my name is Ugochi Jodwell, and I'm from Group 3. Together with my team members Fayomi Abosede and Damenia Sonika, we'll be talking about family CEO successor and firm performance, the moderating role of sustainable HRM practices, and corporate philanthropy. This paper explores the effect of family CEO successors on post-succession firm performance. What this means is that we'll be looking at the effect of family CEO successorship on firm performance and looking at it along the lines of sustainable human resource management and corporate philanthropic activities. The paper examined some companies listed on the China Stock Exchange, and findings suggested that firms with family CEO successors outperform those that do not have family CEO successors. In other words, firms that have family CEO successors do better than those that have management from outside bodies, and we'll be discussing that in this paper as we go along. Some keywords we'll be coming across in the course of this presentation and this paper are corporate philanthropy. What is corporate philanthropy? Simply put, it refers to the act of free will that the business engages in order to maintain its societal effects in the community. What the company does out of its own free will to help keep up its image in the society. That's what corporate philanthropy is. Firm performance is how well the firm is doing, how well the business is doing. It can be in terms of its profitability, in terms of its growth or market value, or economic value added satisfaction of customers, amongst others. Interest family CEO succession. This just refers to the transfer of management to a family member. In this case, transfer of CEO position to a family member, who takes control of the business when the predecessor decides to step down. Multi-stakeholder perspective. Multi-stakeholder means different, more than one stakeholder. Okay, so multi-stakeholder perspective simply means we'll be discussing this along the lines of different stakeholders, more than one stakeholder. In this case, we have the external and internal stakeholders, and I will be explaining as we go along. And then finally, sustainable human resource management, otherwise known as sustainable HRM. We're talking about how we manage people, or the framework that manages people to achieve positive financial goals and positive organizational goals in the long run and also in the short run. Family firms are known for their sustainability. Before I go further, I would like to explain the analytic models that we came up with in the previous slide. So what's spoken about the antagonism model and the complementarity model. The antagonism model suggests that, given the competing demands of internal and external stakeholders, corporate philanthropy weakens the positive moderating effect of sustainable HRM on post-succession firm performance of family CEOs. On the other hand, the complementarity model states that corporate philanthropy validates a firm's engagement in sustainable HRM, strengthening the positive moderating effects of sustainable HRM. In other words, both models are comparing the effects of sustainable HRM and corporate philanthropy on post-succession family CEO successors. One of the models, the antagonism model, states that they walk in different directions, while the other one, the complementarity model, states that they walk hand in hand. Now, I'll talk about reasons why China was chosen for this case study. China was chosen for this case study because it has predominantly young and transforming families. The families in China are in their first and second generation, and the companies can be studied because they are very young families. Theoretical background and hypothesis. In previous slides, I had spoken about the multi-stakeholder perspective and how different stakeholders have their demands, and there are more than one resources, there are different resources. There are also the internal and external stakeholders. That's spoken about sustainable HRM practices, which apply to internal stakeholders, and corporate philanthropy, which applies to external stakeholders. That forms the theoretical background of the hypothesis that we will be projecting in the next slides. The first hypothesis we'll be talking about is intra-family CEO succession and firm performance. Hypothesis 1 states that intra-family CEO succession is positively related to post-succession firm performance. And this is hinged on the fact that interfamily CEO succession positively impacts firm performance because the CEO already knows specialized assets in stakeholders' relationships, because he's probably been in the firm for a while and he's probably been in the family for a while. He knows just where these assets are and he knows how to relate with other stakeholders. That brings us to the next point. It maintains stakeholder relations and prevents the loss of value of specialized assets. And then finally, it alleviates conflicts of interest and information asymmetry between owners and managers. This hypothesis states that because interfamily CEO succession is positively related to post-succession firm performance, the CEO successor as a family member is able to carry out all of these because he already owns a stake in the business. He's been in the business for a while and he knows the nitty-gritty of everything. And so there is no room for loss of assets, loss or conflicts, or loss of interest. So that is hypothesis 1. We'll be looking at hypothesis 2 and 3 in the next slides. The second hypothesis relates to compensation and intra-family CEO succession. This hypothesis will be in 4 parts, and we'll be talking about hypothesis 2A in this section. This posits that intra-family CEO succession will be more beneficial to firm performance in the post-succession period when employees' compensation is higher. A case of the Fuya group was studied, and these were the highlights. The high employee compensation is important in building a committed workforce and aligning employees' interest with organization interest. Compensation is high. It brings about positive emotional responses from employees. It makes them more willing to stay because they feel they are obligated to their employers. It aligns employees' interest with organizational interest, like I mentioned before. It increases their motivation to engage with family firms for long-term success. However, when there is low compensation, you find out that employees will be dissatisfied and it will lead to disengaged behaviors. Employees may even begin to engage in things like looking for other jobs, using the firm's resources to do their personal business. They might be detached from work. You can find fraudulent activities going on. You can also find absence and lateness to work and other counterproductive behavior. And this supports our hypothesis 2A. Hypothesis 2B posits that intra-family CEO succession will be more detrimental to firm performance in the post-succession period when top management team compensation is high. We'll be studying the Gomer company as a case study in this instance. When top managers are paid very, very high levels of compensation as opposed to other members of the team, it can lead to income inequality and negatively impact the performance of a family CEO successor. This is because excessive compensation can cause top management team members to prioritize their own interest over the firm's, which implies a lack of alignment between managerial and ownership interests. This may also imply that top managers are serving their own interest, and it will increase the power of the executives against those of the family. Looking at Gomer, where high TMT compensation, TMT in this case is top management team compensation, was used as a weapon by professional managers to fight against family leadership. Intra-family CEO succession can be particularly detrimental to firm performance. In this case, professional managers paid very high compensation to top management team as a means of weakening the family CEO successorship system. And this supported the hypothesis posited earlier that high TMT compensation will weaken family CEO succession. Therefore, we conclude that high TMT compensation will have a more negative impact on firm performance in the post-succession period when intra-family CEO succession occurs. Hypothesis 2C posits that intra-family CEO succession will be more detrimental to firm performance in the post-succession period when employee layoffs occur. The Heidi Lau case study. This study examined the impact of retention on the performance of family firms during CEO succession. The study found out that employee layoff during intra-family CEO succession can have a negative effect on firm performance because family firms are supposed to be known for their long-term commitment to employees. And so when layoff occurs, it negatively affects the mindset of the employees. It also leads to the loss of key knowledge and human resources. In the case of Heidi Lau, a restaurant chain with a no layoff policy, it demonstrates the positive impact of retention on employee morale and productivity. And this supports our hypothesis because layoffs also convey negative signals of social performance to external stakeholders, amongst others. Intra-family CEO succession will be more beneficial to firm performance in the post-succession period when TMT tenure is longer, looking at the Hickson Steel case study. This is because longer organizational tenures help preserve human and social capital, especially those involved in an executive's task, team, and firm-specific tactic knowledge. Long TMT tenure builds up a team-oriented executive HRM system which fosters competitive advantage. Also, TMT stability helps the family CEO successor establish a trust relationship which smoothens intra-family CEO succession. A case study on Hickson Steel shows how power struggle and infighting with a TMT can bring disastrous consequences for family CEO succession. Intra-family CEO succession will be more beneficial to firm performance in the post-succession period when TMT tenure is longer. In this slide, we'll be talking about the joint effects of sustainable HRM practices and corporate philanthropy on intra-family CEO succession based on the Fotal case study. Examining the Fotal company, it was seen that high corporate philanthropy coupled with implementation of sustainable HRM has a positive effect on intra-family CEO succession. and it is strongly related to post-succession firm performance. That is, the corporate philanthropy must align with the sustainable HRM practices in the company. Internal and external stakeholders must be satisfied accordingly. We have three combinations of sustainable HRM and corporate philanthropy from the study that show the effect on intra-family firm CEO succession. The first case is when the company has unsustainable HRM but is philanthropic towards the community. The positive attitudes of external stakeholders towards the family CEO successor were impaired, and that was the effect of that. The second case is when the company has sustainable HRM but is not philanthropic. The effect is that the internal stakeholders identify less with the firm, with the family CEO successor. And then finally, when there is no sustainable HRM or corporate philanthropy, both internal and external stakeholders consider the controlling family as unsustainable and socially irresponsible. The table in this slide is a summary of all the cases we've been considering during our hypothetical deductions. We spoke about the Fuya group, the Gome group, the Heidelado group, the Haxon group, and the Fortile group. And if you go across the table, you would see how the companies operated, you will see the succession status, and you would see um, the success stories. We won't be going into details, but this is like a summary of everything that we've spoken about in previous. In pictorial view, this is the overall framework of the family CEO successor, the post-succession firm performance, and how corporate philanthropy and sustainable HRM affect these things. We spoke about the TMT compensation, hypothesis 1, spoke about family CEO successor and post-succession firm performance, hypothesis 2B, spoke about TMT compensation, hypothesis 2A spoke about employee compensation, hypothesis 2C spoke about employee layoff, hypothesis 2D spoke about TMT tenure, and then hypothesis 3 spoke about corporate philanthropy. And we see how all these are interconnecting with each other and giving us like an overview of how they interact to make post-succession firm performance with regards to family CEO successor, either a success or a failure.
Now, I'll be taking you through the methods used in this paper. The methods used in this paper include sample selections, sample collection period, and lastly, the sampling procedures. Now, let's begin with the sources of data used in this paper. Information was gathered from 5 key sources, including China Stock Market and Accounting Research, CSMAR, China Research Data Services Platform, National Economic Research Institute, China's National Bureau of Statistics, and public sources. Rigorous data collection procedures were followed for each source, ensuring data accuracy and completeness. Data cleaning and preprocessing steps were also implemented to undo any inconsistencies or missing values. Now to the sample collection period. The sample collection period started in 2008, which was the first year that CSMAR began reporting family firm member information, and ended in 2016 due to the unavailability of marketization index data. During this period, a total of 1,763 CEO successions were collected. However, some control measures were applied to further clean the data before the analysis. This research employs a comprehensive set of measures to investigate the intricate relationship between CEO succession, family performance, family involvement, compensation, and corporate philanthropy in family firms. The measures include financial performance measures, family CEO successor relationship measures, compensation and corporate philanthropy measures, and lastly, some control variables were put in place as well. Three key statistical models were used to analyze the data collected in this paper, but the key one is the generalized least square regression model, which was used to test the hypothesis. Given the nature of the data, it is likely that multiple CEO successions may occur in the same firm during a given time. This slide shows the output of the generalized least square regression test, and the outcome shows that pre-succession firm performance is positively related to post-succession firm performance. In addition, CEO education and CEO financial background have a significant positive relationship with post-succession firm performance. Now, in this slide, I'll walk you through the results of the key three hypotheses tested using the generalized least square regression model. The first one is the family CEO succession and firm performance. Hypothesis 1 focused on the direct relationship between family CEO succession and post-succession firm performance. Hypothesis 1 predicted a positive relationship between intra-family CEO succession and the post-succession firm performance. Now let's dive into the second set of hypotheses concerning the moderating effects of compensation on the relationship between family CEO successors and the firm performance. Hypothesis 2A proposed a positive moderating effect of employee compensation on this relationship. Hypothesis 2B suggested a negative moderating effect of top management team compensation. Lastly, hypothesis 2C anticipated a negative moderating effect of employee layoff. The findings indicate partial support for hypothesis 2A, but there is no significant support for hypothesis 2B and 2C. The last hypothesis focused on the sustainable HRM, donation and family CEO succession. Hypothesis 3A to D posited that intra-family CEO succession would be most beneficial when sustainable HRM and donation levels are both high. And I will talk about this more in the next slides. To buttress the results presented earlier, the four panels here showed the relationship between human resources practice and the firm performance in family business succession. Panel A, B, and D show the positive relationship when there is a family CEO successor in terms of the firm performance, employee compensation, top management compensation, and the top management tenure. However, in panel C, we can see that even though if there is a family CEO successor, the impact on the employee layoff is negative. Lastly, the three panels in this slide buttress the outcome of the hypothesis 3A to D, and this shows the relationship between human resources practice, donation, and firm performance in family business succession.
Now let's dive into the key findings from our study, which shed light on the impact of intra-family CEO succession and the factors that influence post-succession firm performance. Family CEO succession and firm performance. Our study centers on examining the influence of intra-family CEO succession on post-succession firm performance. We are pleased to report that our study provides empirical support for the positive impact of family CEO successors on firm performance. This finding aligns with recent research, including the work of Ahrens in 2019. But what enhances the impact of family successors? Let's explore the key factors. First, the positive effect of family CEO successors is amplified when employee compensation is higher. This suggests that well-compensated employees are more motivated and contribute to higher performance. Second, our study reveals that CEO successors' impact is further strengthened when top management team compensation is lower. This dynamic reflects the importance of balanced compensation structures. Lastly, the positive effect of family CEO successors is most pronounced when the top management team has longer tenure. This underscores the significance of stability and continuity within the leadership team. These findings offer valuable insights into the nuanced relationships between intra-family CEO succession and firm performance, emphasizing the role of compensation and tenure as critical influencing factors. Further, the synergistic impact of corporate philanthropy on firm performance as revealed by our study. Our research indicates that the strongest positive effect on firm performance occurs when high corporate philanthropy practices are combined with two specific factors. Firstly, the impact is most pronounced when a company maintains high employee compensation levels. This suggests a powerful synergy between corporate philanthropy and well-compensated employees. Secondly, the positive effect is further strengthened when the company adopts a low top management team compensation policy. This dual approach seems to have a significant impact on enhancing firm performance. On the other end of the spectrum, our study also reveals that the lowest firm performance following intra-family CEO succession is observed when both top management team tenure and corporate philanthropy levels are low. This highlights the importance of leadership stability and philanthropic engagement. Interestingly, our study does not find evidence that post-succession firm performance with a family CEO is influenced by employee layoffs. One possible explanation for this absence of impact is that employee layoffs may actually improve firm performance. This improvement could result from cost reduction and enhanced productivity, as suggested by prior research. These findings underscore the intricate dynamics at play in the post-succession environment, where corporate philanthropy, compensation policies, and leadership tenure collectively shape firm performance outcomes. First, we contribute to sustainable HRM research by emphasizing the profound impacts of HRM practices on individual, society, and the environment. Our study enriches the ongoing debate on managing multiple stakeholders with competing goals. Second, we introduce a unique scenario by examining family business succession in the context of China. Our findings reveal the asymmetric effects of employee compensation and TMT compensation on the relationship between intra-family, CEO succession, and post-succession firm performance. Third, we advance the knowledge of the CSR-HRM interface by extending the discussion of insurance-like effects from CSR research of HRM. We demonstrate the instrumental value of sustainable HRM and its reinforcing effects when combined with corporate philanthropy. Now let's Let's discuss the policy implications of our findings. Sustainable HRM. Family firms should consider the insurance-like effect of sustainable HRM and preserve stakeholder values during challenging times like CEO succession. Compensation policy. Family CEO successors may benefit more from a well-paid workforce and reasonably compensated TMT. Non-family successors, on the other hand, may consider reducing labor expenses through employee cutoffs. Retention policy. A strict no layoff policy may not be effective for either family or non-family CEO successors. Employee layoffs can positively impact post-succession firm performance. Balance sustainability practices. Sustainability practices should encompass both the workplace and the wider community. Treating internal and external stakeholders equally fosters a reinforcing cycle for preserving family leadership. Let's now explore the synergistic impact of corporate philanthropy on firm performance as revealed by our study, while considering both the limitations and future research directions. Limitations of our study. It's important to begin by acknowledging the limitations of our research. Limited stakeholder scope. Our study primarily focuses on key stakeholders but does not encompass the entire spectrum of stakeholders such as customers, shareholders, and others. We have not investigated the complex interactions among various sustainable HRM practices. Future research may delve deeper into the complexity. Our study aligns with Type 1 of Sustainable HRM, which focuses on socially responsible HRM. Future studies may explore other types of sustainable HRM. Limited data sources. Our research relies on archival data, limiting the scope of our study. Future research can employ diverse data sources and methodology. Future research directions. While recognizing these limitations, let's also consider the promising avenues for future research. Future studies can expand stakeholder analysis to include a broader range of stakeholders, considering their unique roles and influences. Researchers may explore the complex interactions among various sustainable HRM practices, such as compensation, retention, staffing, performance, and training. Exploring different types of sustainable HRM beyond Type 1 can provide a more comprehensive understanding of HRM's impact on firm performance.
Based on the findings in our paper, we chose the Canadian multinational company known as McCain Food Chain. McCain Food Chain was founded in 1957 They have their headquarters in Toronto. They are currently in 160 countries and they have over 22,000 employees. This slide shows the regional head offices that McCain has in different parts of the world. McCain has experienced family succession issues in the past. In 1990, there was a succession struggle between the two brothers. However, in 1995, the company decided to hire a non-family CEO, and over the years, this has become a norm in this company. In addition to the family succession story of McCain, McCain is known for their high donation to philanthropic projects. They have McCain Foundations, and the two brothers are responsible for the high donation through this foundation.